Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from Greedy Tech and this is the unboxing of Realme 7i along with a quick hands-on review. With that said, here's the box and it looks pretty similar to all other previous Realme phones. Nothing new in terms of overall packaging. It still looks pretty minimalistic and pretty clean. In India, Realme has launched this phone in two variants. Base variant is priced at 12,000 rupees for 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. Next variant is priced at 13,000 rupees for 4GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. It's available in two colors, Fusion Green and Fusion Blue. We have the base variant with green color with us right now. Now this is a pretty good phone in this price segment with lot of cool features. Now the main highlights for this phone would be its display with a punch hole design and 90Hz refresh rate, good cameras, bigger battery, and it also comes with an 18 watts quick charger inside the box. So lot of great stuff at a pretty affordable price, especially that 90Hz display. So without further delays, here's the quick unboxing. So once we open the box, we have another small box. Let's just put that aside. Next we have the phone itself. Following that, we have an 18 watts power adapter and finally a USB Type-C charging cable. Coming back to the small box, it says, "Hi, welcome to the Realme family." And once we open the flap, we have the SIM card ejector, some documentation, and finally a dark tinted silicone case. Coming back to the phone, let me just remove the cover and stickers as well. Now this is how the phone looks on the front and this is how the phone looks on the back. Now let's have a physical overview. On the back, this phone has a fiberglass with a pretty reflective pattern. It has a matte finish underneath which looks pretty good, but the back glass surface itself is pretty glossy and it attracts a lot of fingerprints and smudges. At the top, we have the camera module with a quad camera setup along with a single LED flash, followed by a circular fingerprint scanner and Realme branding at the bottom. On the front, it has a pretty huge display with a punch hole design protected by a 2.5D curved Corning Gorilla Glass. You also get a free screen guard pre-applied, which is really appreciated. Above the display, we have some sensors and below the display, it's completely plain. Chin is kinda big, but considering the price, it's okay. Now for the sides. On the right side, it has the power and volume buttons made of plastic. They have a nice clicky feel to them. I wish they were a little more elevated. At the top, it is completely plain. On the left side, it has a SIM card tray housing 2 nano SIM slots along with a dedicated SD card slot. Finally, at the bottom, it has the audio jack followed by the primary microphone, USB Type-C charging port, and the speaker grill. Now with all this included, this phone has a thickness of 8.5mm and weighs just 188 grams. In hand, it fits pretty comfortably. You can use it single-handedly without any major issues. And because of the curved back, it feels pretty sleek as well. It has a bit of thickness, but doesn't feel too thick. As for the weight, it's not too heavy. Weight distribution is also pretty good. And considering the huge 5000 mAh battery, I'd say it is pretty decent. In fact, Realme is using some pretty good tech to reduce the battery weight. So far, I don't have any major complaints in terms of overall design and build. Now with that said, let me just try the case that we got. Now this is how the phone looks with the case on. It is a tiny bit of raised lip for the rear camera which is almost negligible, so it doesn't offer any major protection. But there is a bit of raised lip for the display, so it does a half decent job. Overall, this case can give you some grip, prevent smudges, that's all. No protection whatsoever. I would recommend you to get a better case as soon as possible, especially to protect that camera module. Now with that said, these are the complete specifications of this phone. On the rear, this phone has a quad camera setup with a 64MP primary camera, followed by an 8MP ultra wide angle camera with 119° field of view, a 2MP black and white lens, and a 2MP macro lens. For selfies, it has a 16MP camera with Sony IMX471 sensor with f2.1 aperture. As for display, it sports a 6.5-inch ultra smooth display with HD plus resolution and 90Hz refresh rate. As for performance, it sports a Snapdragon 662 processor with Adreno 610 GPU, 4GB of LPDDR4X RAM, and up to 128GB of UFS 2.1 storage. Right out of the box, it will be running Realme UI based on Android 10. As for battery, it sports a huge 5000 mAh battery and comes with an 18 watts quick charger inside the box. Now let me turn on the phone and set it up and come back to you in a second. So guys, this is how the phone looks once we turn it on and set it up. Here's a quick look at the user interface. This is the default launcher, notification panel, and the app drawer itself. Here's the about page. This phone is running Realme UI 1.0 based on Android 10. Right out of the box, it had August security patch, but right now it has the October security patch. There's already been a new update. Out of that 64 gigabytes of storage, we get about 50.4 gigabytes of space for our user apps and user data. And out of that 4 gigabytes of RAM, we get about 1.8 gigabytes of RAM free right out of the box. Now here's the camera interface. It looks pretty similar to other Oppo and Realme phones. Surprisingly, on this phone we have 4 toggles at the center. We have the regular ultra wide angle mode, primary camera, 2x and 5x zoom. These 2x and 5x are just digital zoom. There's no telephoto lens on this phone, so it's always better to use the 1x zoom. Besides that, in the video recording mode, we have ultra steady mode and the ultra steady max. And on this phone we can only record video in 1080p resolution. There's no 4K. Besides that, we also have the night mode, and on this phone we can also take pictures, start video recording with the fingerprint scanner. For that, we need to enable a toggle in settings. Now this is the interface for the front facing camera. Now these are some sample shots. Colors are slightly more saturated and have a bit more contrast to them, but overall I am liking these pictures. Even the dynamic range is pretty good. So overall, cameras on this phone are pretty good and definitely worth the price. Now let's test the fingerprint scanner. Fingerprint scanner on this phone is pretty fast, almost instantaneous, and every time we use the correct fingerprint, this phone also gives a slight haptic feedback, which is something I really like, a cool feature, and I wish other brands do it as well. Now let's test the face unlock feature. In good lighting conditions, it is pretty fast, almost instantaneous, as good as the fingerprint scanner. And every time it works, you also get a cool animation near the front camera. Just a nice addition. In low lighting conditions, face unlock works. It's slightly slower, probably takes like a second or two, but speed mainly depends on the wallpaper that you're using. Finally, here's a test in complete darkness. Once again, it works and it is pretty fast, but slightly slower, but still manageable. So overall, face unlock works pretty well on this phone, and it's definitely usable. Now let's test the speaker loudness. This phone has just a single speaker at the bottom, so no stereo speakers. As for loudness, it's pretty good, sufficient for media consumption, ringtones and alarms. Now the main highlight for this phone would be its 90Hz refresh rate. I've tested it, used it for a bit, and it works, and the phone is definitely much more smoother than a regular phone with 60Hz refresh rate. It definitely adds to your overall experience, especially if you're someone who uses Instagram, Facebook, or even just browses web a lot. Especially if you scroll a lot. Even while gaming, it does have great benefit. Now before I conclude, these are the benchmark scores. So guys, this is the new Realme 7i. Initial impressions, it's a great phone with a great package. The only downside for this phone would be its HD+ resolution and the processor. It's good enough for regular user, well for most users, but if you're someone who wants more performance or if you like to play a lot of games, especially PUBG, then you might want to consider other phones which are more gaming centric. With that said, if you're a normal user who wants a feature packed phone with a lot of cool features, then I would definitely recommend you this phone. So guys, what do you think about this phone? Do let me know by commenting below this video, and if you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It always helps the channel. I'm Nikhil from Greedy Tech signing off. Have a nice day.